A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. You're listening to Now This Is Lit, a podcast about Star Wars books, the people who make them, and the readers who can't get enough of them. I'm your host, Meg Dowell. I use she, her pronouns. And after many months of waiting, the High Republic has officially returned. Path of Deceit by Justina Ireland and Tessa Gratton is out today, which, if you've been listening to the show for the past few months, means it's time for a good old-fashioned spoiler-free review. Let's start with the question I know you're already asking. Do I have to read everything else in the High Republic before I read this new book? Because there's a lot of things, and that can feel overwhelming. Since this is phase 2 of the High Republic publishing initiative, you would think it would be almost required to read everything that came before. But this is Star Wars, which sometimes means release order can be deceiving. See what I did there? Now, if you're going through all of phase 1, you'll want to, for the most part, read everything in release order if you want the full story. Yes, that means adult, YA, middle grade, comics, audio dramas, and hey, even the manga are great. You don't have to read everything. The whole point of Star Wars books is to provide a range of things for different people to enjoy, and not everything is going to be for you, and that's fine. But the point is, if you're a completionist such as myself, then that's how you do it. This advice is a little more complicated now with the launch of phase 2. So let's look at it just as its own separate thing for a second. Phase 2 takes place about 150 years before phase 1, which means it's, you guessed it, technically a prequel. Star Wars should try that sometime. Therefore, if you were to read Path of Deceit first, you would actually have no problem understanding the events, time period, or characters. It can and does stand on its own exceptionally well, and that's on purpose. Like other Star Wars prequel stories, there are some things in this book that you might recognize and appreciate more if you've already read or at least understand the major plot points of phase 1 of the High Republic. One of the biggest examples of this is a spoiler that I won't obviously reveal here, no matter how much I might really want to. But I will say, even going in fresh, you'll be fine. So let's add Path of Deceit to the list of perfect Star Wars books to start with. If you haven't listened to the episode where Madison and I talked about this more in depth, go listen to that when you are done here. So let's get into this book specifically as much as we can without spoiling anything. As I said before, Path of Deceit, out today, was written by Justina Ireland, High Republic veteran, and Tessa Gratton, a newcomer to the Everything Hurts, Nobody We Love Survives writing team. The Luminous Five are now the Luminous way more than 5. It tells the story of a Padawan and his master who encounter, let's call it a Force cult, on a new to us planet. The Path of the Open Hand believes the Force should not be used in the way, say, the Jedi tend to use it. In fact, when Path member Marta witnesses Padawan Kev using the Force, she actually accuses him of abusing it. To the Path, the Force should be free. It should flow between all things, but not be disturbed. And I cannot wait for you to learn how this meeting between Force advocates and Force abusers turns out, because I have to stop talking about it, or I'll accidentally say something I'm not supposed to. And I'm reading off of a script. This is not an easy secret to keep. This is a very different time in the Star Wars universe, where it's not easy to communicate with each other from planet to planet across the universe. So you can't necessarily just send a transmission to the Jedi Temple on Coruscant from wherever you are if, something were to happen that might warrant sending important information to people who might need to know about it. But this is the High Republic. Nothing ever goes wrong here. Everyone is always safe, and you should immediately fall in love with every character you meet, because nothing bad will ever happen to any of them. Ever. At any time. Path of Deceit just might be my favorite book out of the entire High Republic series so far. It feels new and fresh, and the concepts and characters are as captivating as they are mysterious. And the idea that there lives a group of people who don't love what the Jedi do with the Force is intriguing, especially if you're not new to the High Republic and have a clearer idea of what this type of conflict might eventually lead to. But if you are, in fact, new to the series, you have nothing to worry about. The story feels very Star Wars at its heart, even if it takes place in a new place and time in a galaxy far, far away. This story will grab your attention from the start, and I'm not sorry to say, it will end before you've had most of your questions answered. But that's a good thing, because the next book in the High Republic is not too far away. Overall, I highly recommend you give this book a chance. It's young adult, that should never discourage you. It's dark, but it's fantastic. Give it a read for yourself, whether it's in digital, physical, or audio form. It's definitely worth your time. Star Wars: The High Republic, Path of Deceit is available now wherever books are sold. Now This Is Lit is part of the Faraway Fandom Network and is produced, written, hosted, and still edited by me. Jose Jimenez designed our podcast art. Keep up with the show on Twitter at Star Wars LitPod. And find the show wherever you get all your other podcasts. If you would like to support the show, the best way to actually do that right now is to subscribe to our newsletter. There is a link to the Substack, always in the show notes, in the show description, whatever it is called these days, it's there. You can go there, read this script, working on, there's a backlog of transcripts that I have to create. I have to go back to the episodes I've recorded that don't have transcriptions, which is most of them, and transcribe all of them because I committed to doing that, and life is just, there's a lot. Life is a lot, always. So I will catch up at some point. You will get your transcripts because I know how important it is to have those in case you would like to read the things that I am saying right now. For more book reviews and Star Wars Book Celebration, follow Star Wars Book Reviews on Instagram.